Welcome everybody to Law&Crime Daily. I'm Jesse Weber. Thursday marks day 8 in the trial of Doomsday cult mom Lori Vallow Daybell, and the husband of Vallow's former best friend took the witness stand for the prosecution. Law&Crime correspondent Gigi McKelvey has the scoop from the Boise, Idaho courtroom.
I'm Gigi McKelvey outside the Ada County Courthouse, where we have had witnesses on and off the stand all morning. It's been pretty quick for direct and cross-exam. The most notable witness we had today was David Warwick, who is the husband of Melanie Gibb, who testified earlier in this case, where he recounted the weekend he spent in Rexburg, which was the last weekend J.J. Vallow was alive. The last time he saw J.J., Alex Cox was holding him. J.J. was asleep with his head on Alex's shoulder. And that finished up the morning's testimony. We are anticipating some testimony about cell phone pings, which should be interesting to see where people were at crucial times during this case. Stay with Law and Crime Network for the latest. I'm Gigi McKelvey.
Well, another close connection to the defendant testified on Wednesday. While living in Hawaii with her husband Chad, Lori Vallow Daybell befriended a woman named April Raymond. All three actually attended the same Latter-day Saints church together. And on the stand, Raymond recalled conversations where Vallow Daybell talked about her separation from ex-husband Charles Vallow, who is now deceased. The Doomsday cult mom also shared a recommendation that Raymond should leave her family behind.
When she said Charles was no longer Charles, how was that connected to her talking about separating from Charles?
Sure. So she had said that Charles was already dead and that there was a demon living inside him and kind of using his body as a host, and that the demon's name was Ned Snyder.
Did you follow up on that? Did she give you any sort of evidence of this?
When I asked, how do you know that it's not Charles, she said, because he's shorter.
Now, during these various conversations, did the defendant ever talk to you about participating in the formation of the 144,000 who are supposed to shepherd in the second coming of Christ?
Yes, that was a conversation the first night that she stayed with me, when it was just she and Tylee.
Okay. And what did Lori Vallow say to you about that?
She said that she had been appointed leader of one of the 144,000 and that she was there to gather me.
And what did you understand gather you meant?
To join her.
Okay. And what did she say was going to be needed for you to do in order to join her in this group?
That I would need to be separated from my children.
Okay. Did she indicate why?
Basically that my children were raised, I'd fulfilled my role in their lives and that I had a greater calling, a greater mission to perform with her.
Okay. And did she indicate that what you should do with your kids?
Basically just leave them with their father.
Okay.
All right, I'm here with my co-host, legal analyst Brian Buckmeyer, Terry Austin, to break all this down. Brian, I'll start with you. So the text message was read aloud in court today. I want to talk to you about this. It was Chad Daybell sending this to his first wife, Tammy Daybell, a day before Tylee Ryan went missing. And the message says, quote, "I spotted a big raccoon along the fence. I hurried and got my gun, and he was still walking along. I got close enough that one shot did the trick. He is now in our pet cemetery. Fun times." We know that Ryan's body was found buried in Daybell's pet cemetery 6 months later. It seems like maybe this is a way he was trying to cover the tracks of the burial of the body. But my question to you is, how badly does this text hurt Lori? Not Chad, Lori.
Very badly, Jesse, and this is why. At first glance, it's a conversation or a text, between Chad and Lori. How does this have anything to do, Chad and Tammy, how does this have anything to do with Lori? But conspiracy is how it has to do with Lori, because so long as there's an agreement between 2 or 3 people or more, if one of those participants in that agreement takes steps in furtherance of that conspiracy, all people who agree to the conspiracy are guilty. So this could easily be a way of Chad covering up the tracks of killing Tylee and JJ and kind of pushing people off the scent there. If Lori was a part of that agreement and you believe that, that's part of the conspiracy charges.
Yep, that's 100% right. Now, Terry, I want to talk about something else. What were the key takeaways for you from April Raymond's testimony?
Well, one of the first things, Jesse, is that she corroborated the testimony of Melanie Gibb, and she also corroborated the testimony of Zulema. If you think about it, they were all followers, they all believed what she was saying, and ultimately they all stopped believing. From a substance standpoint, they all three said that Chad was, or rather that Charles was, a demon inside of him, a demon by the name of Ned Schneider, that he behaved strangely, that he was shorter. And so they all said that he was possessed. And ultimately, this is the reason why he had to be, killed at the end of the day.
Terry, don't feel bad. There's just so much overlap here and so much consistency in these stories. They all sound very similar. But how many people thought they were demons, according to this logic? We are moving away from the Doomsday cult mom trial to cover another whirlwind case, this one out of Atlanta. And the craziest part is an attorney has been arrested before trial has even begun. Rapper Young Thug is being tried alongside several co-defendants from the alleged gang known as Young Slime Life, or YSL. They're all facing charges connected to alleged RICO operations that includes the deaths of two rival gang members. Jury selection has been underway since January, but no progress has been made due to endless disruptions in the courtroom, including the smuggling of contraband and juror misconduct. And this week, the disruptions have somehow made their way to defense counsel. That's right. Anastasios Menetis, the defense attorney for Miles Farley, was arrested on Thursday after a routine check of his bag. Officers discovered a bottle of prescription medication and arrested Menetis immediately afterwards. In fact, as officers closed in on him, he allegedly tossed his phone to another attorney, but it instead hit one of the officers. So the attorney has been charged with simple battery on a law enforcement officer, possession of pills not in their original container, and disrupting court proceedings. But this isn't Menetis' first rodeo. He is being held in contempt by the judge a few months back. While the reasoning is unclear, he was ordered to pay a fine of $250 and also buy his colleagues lunch. You heard that right. That order was actually addressed during court this week. Check it out.
You were held in contempt, young man. And if you want to revisit that again, we can certainly open it up. But I satisfied your contempt by you paying $250, which you did, and I have a receipt from that of your choosing, which that was done to Miles College. I have that receipt here. And the other thing was to purchase lunch for each of your attorney colleagues in this case on Friday, March the 17th, from Jason's Deli. So prong one's been settled. Prong two was you're supposed to buy your colleagues lunch by that date. Mr. Menendez, this was in satisfaction of me not sentencing you to jail for 20 days. So if that's the case, well, then I will revisit the basis for your contempt. But I thought that, and in fact, I'll have Ms. Weaver go ahead and pull that order, pull the part of the record. But I did, in fact, I did not hold you in, I did not go ahead and sentence you to the 20 days. I said that this would satisfy, once you apologized, I said you can pay, because remember, you were going to do I was going to have you do a report as well, or a written product. I was also going to, but instead of doing that, we settled on the $250. And we settled on your buying lunch for your colleagues on the 17th of March. So that was my understanding.
My understanding was that I apologized and that I was doing that to sort of show that I was serious on the apology. I'll still buy the lunch.
And that will satisfy. Then that will satisfy this court's concern. Okay.
So Brian, this judge makes the attorney pay a fine, buy lunch, orders another attorney in contempt to write a lengthy essay on courtroom decorum. Is any of this standard operating procedure? Is this fair?
It's not standard in any way, shape, or form. However, it is well within the power of the judge to create different sentencing requirements of an attorney in contempt arguments or proceedings like this. I mean, I'm not surprised when I look at I'm guessing the age of the defense attorney. This seems utterly childish. This seems like a power play of the judge saying, I have power over you. Go write an essay, little boy. Go buy your superior's lunch, little boy. It's what you do to junior attorneys in big firms. I think it's ridiculous and unfair, but I think a lot of things are ridiculous and unfair in courtrooms.
Well, Terry, now that Menendez has been arrested, what happens to the case against his client, Miles Farley?
Well, first of all, he's going to have to get a new attorney now that his case is, going to be severed. And that is what the judge said, is he wanted this case severed. And I think it's going to work to the advantage of Farley to have the case severed. The case now is from 28 down to 13 defendants. Farley will now be able to make his own case. If he wants to, he can point fingers at the other defendants. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to work to his advantage. But I do think that the judge is taking it out far too harshly on these attorneys. And I think arresting him for having, drugs that he had a prescription for and throwing a phone that accidentally hit someone is probably a bit too far.
It's got a little bit my Cousin Vinny vibes, right? He's going to be practicing this in jail. He's getting a good night's sleep. I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind. No laughing matter, but what a weird development in this case if it ever ends up going to trial.